So let me give you, before he starts, a quick overview. Basically, we were wondering about the question. So I teach this low-level course, CS150, basically for non-CS majors, which is interactive Java programming, and it is kind of a it differs slightly from traditional Java courses in the sense there's a lot of emphasis on interaction. So it makes a lot of use of art and swing packages. So we basically use widgets or components as they are called in swing language. So you're wondering, well, would Java programming fit somewhere in there? Android is Java, but actually it turns out that it's there are a lot of things, a lot of new terms. But we were wondering, what can we do to possibly simplify it? And basically, is it possible to implement that in a low-level course? So that's the question we are asking. So he's going to give you some overview of why we should look at it, and give you some, show you some examples. So applets versus Android, so you can compare and see how they look. And so after the presentation, feel free to send us some feedback, and if you have any quick questions, so I'll be taking quick questions. So for clarification, so you can ask some quick questions. And at the end, I think it's fairly full, so he plans to take about 40 minutes. And but after that, I guess he'll be available. So feel free to find him anytime or me. And give us.
I like how he volunteers. Feel free to find him anytime.
So, good morning, everyone. I'm HyunChul Joh. I'm a grad student in this computer science department. And part of what I'm going to present today can Android programming be managed for a beginning Java course. And Dr. Malaiya and I have been working about a month, so we are still answering the question. We're looking for the answer. And since we are not quite expert about Android, apart from like some mistake during this presentation, if you notice that I make some severe mistake, then please feel free to point it out. And it'll take about 40 minutes for presentation. So before we start, I'd like to talk about this. So we have CS150, as Dr. Malaiya said. And the course title is Interactive Programming in Java. And this is for non-CS major students. And they are mainly learn about basic AWT and the swing component. And our plan is we are going to introduce Android programming at the end of the fall semester 2011 for about 2 weeks, and observe how it goes for the further extension. And then today's goal is that other people know what we are doing currently, and then get some feedbacks from our colleagues. And this is our line. So first, I'll briefly introduce about Java applet, and then I'll mention about motivation, why we need to consider about Android at the moment. And then I'll talk about brief background for Android, and then followed by architecture. And before we go into the programming, we will take a look about the environment about Android programming, especially on the Eclipse IDE. Then I show you Hello World, and probably extend to the C2 browser. And then in section 7, I'll mention about similarities between two parties. And then I'll show you some demonstrations in both applet and Android for the comparison purpose. So let's see Java applet. Java applet is Java programming running in web page. So basically it is embedded into HTML file. And then Android OS does not provide applet functionality, so you cannot see applet under Android OS unless you buy some third-party applet browser. The main difference between applet and application is applet does not have a main method, but it has its own entry point, such as init method or a paint method. And then applet cannot access to a local files or programs, or even cannot communicate with other servers because due to the security issues. So this shows the hello world for applet. This is class. And then this is HTML. Notice that we have hello world class is embedded here, and this is output. So let's see briefly the terminal. So we have here cat and hello world.java, and we have HTML. If you want to see output, we're going to use applet viewer and type hello world.html. Then you can see this out. Okay, that's the end of the applet. And let's see the motivation why we need to consider about Android programming at the moment. So the growth, if you consider about growth rate, mobile-related technology is overwhelming other gadgets like microcomputer or PC or even desktop-based internet usage. Experts expecting the number of internet-capable number of devices is about more than 10 billion. And that's a lot by 2020. And there's a reason why the growth rate of mobile-related technology is faster than others. So the fact is, the human beings like to moving around by our nature, except some of the computer science students. But the point is that we like to. So the point is, you don't have to no longer sitting in front of the device. In front of the computer, the desktop computer. These days, mobile technology is fulfilling our desire, moving around while surfing the internet, which is the essential part for the modern citizens. So this roadmap shows the mobile operating system's market share in February 2011. And as you can see, by the way, this black color is for Apple, and this blue is for Nokia. So like countries like, so Apple's iOS has the biggest market in like the United States of America and Canada, Spain, France, UK, Germany, Australia, and Japan. While Symbian from Nokia has the biggest market in countries like China, Russia, Tunisia, Egypt, India, and Brazil, that kind of country. Now let's see only for yearly shipment-based market share for operating system. So this table is from IDE Worldwide Quarterly Mobile Phone Tracker and released last month, 2011 June. And second one shows the 2011 market share, while third one is for market share 2015, which is an estimated number. And this one is compound annual growth rate. So in 2011, as you can see, Android has about 38% of new market share occupied, and followed by Symbian, and iOS is third place. And estimated number in 2015 shows Android occupied more than 43% of the entire new shipments, and followed by Windows mobile phone. And iOS is still third ranked.
That'll be interesting to see if Windows Phone actually gets on iOS. Okay.
Okay. So the point is, Android program has a big, bright future because it is open standard, which means there's no license fee at all, and it is relatively easy to develop, and we have a big market. So now we have motivations for Android programming. Let's see a brief background about Android. So Android, first of all, is not a physical device, right? And Android is operating system mainly for mobile devices, including middleware and some of the key applications. Currently, it's based on Linux kernel 2.6. And the application under Android is developed with Java. However, it is run under Dalvik virtual machine, which is developed by Google, not in Java virtual machine. And as I said, it is open standard, and it is managed by Open Handset Alliance. Now, Open Handset Alliance is a consortium of some of the respectable companies from the 5 industrial sectors like service operator and physical manufacturers, physical handset manufacturers, software companies, commercial aviation companies, and semiconductor companies.
I forgot if we're allowed to ask questions, so I'm going to ask one. Why do I care that it's run under the Dalvik virtual machine as opposed to the JVM?
Don't care.
Good point then.
I don't know. The
You have to
Dalvik
get it
is
on your machine. is
mainly it's
how you
optimized
do it.
for mobile phone, so probably different. This is optimized for mobile.
I mean, I hope, gosh, I'm naive. Java is Java. There, I'll just say that out loud.
Yeah. So
But you got to do something to get it on your machine.
Well, right, I know you need a virtual machine, but do I care which one it is?
Only from a running view,
Okay.
from an environment.
There may be some libraries that are
Right.
not part of Android Java.
Okay, so it's not a complete set perhaps or something.
good. So this shows. So Android application is composed of one or more of these 4 components of activity, service, content provider, and the intent receiver. One activity is corresponding with one user interface screen. For example, one email application has like multiple activities, like or one activity is for showing the list of inbox, while another activity shows the screen for compose. And then service is running in the background for long-running tasks or related to network-related things, such as music player or download from internet. And content provider enables sharing data across the application. So throughout this content provider, application can query the database, such as address book or photo gallery. And lastly, intent receiver responds to system-wide broadcast acknowledgments, such as screen has turned off, the battery is low, or picture was captured. So due to the time consuming, I might skip this part, which is not quite related to our topic, but I'll mention about this summary slide. From the bottom stack, we have this is for Android OS architecture. And then from bottom stack, we have Linux kernel, written in C, of course. And then we have Android runtime with Java core libraries and Dalvik virtual machine. And right side, we have more diverse libraries. And on top of that, we have application framework, which is API for developers, and developers can access this throughout this API layer. And on top of that, we have Android application layer for normal users. And I'll skip for detail. So, for the programming, I'll mention about the programming environment, especially under Eclipse for the Android programming. So for the programming, the Android programming, we need some of the tools like Java SDK, Eclipse IDE, and Android SDK, and the Android ADT. The ADT stands for Android Development Toolkit, and all of them are cost free. And to see the output from your application, you should have either a physical device, like this, and emulators. These emulators can once you install ADT, which is plugin for Eclipse, you can find every available emulators. So these are some of them. This is 1.5 version 1.5, 2.1, and this is 3.1 for tablet environment. Currently, I'm running Launcher 2.2 version. So let's move on this.
So this is the emulator, right?
Yes, sir. It's the emulator. And then developers prefer the physical device because after you've done with your application, and if you click the play button inside of Eclipse, the physical device shows the output right away without no delay. However, if the emulator takes some delay is like 5 or 10 seconds. If you're not lucky, probably 1 minute or something. Okay, so when you create a project under Eclipse, you should put some information like project name, build target, application name, project package name, create activity, and the minimum SDK version. Everybody knows what project name and application names are. Just put some meaningful name for that, whatever you want. And package name is about namespace, like in .NET Frame. And for this create activity is defining the first Java class name for your application, which is starting entry point. Convention for the first creativity name is main activity.java. And this main SDK version is related to this build target. So for example, you are currently developing an application under, say, application level A. Then you cannot install that application lower level, like Android platform 1.6, 1.5, because they cannot recognize the API level. So if you click this Android, if you select Android 2.2, you should put your A. Okay. So once you finish your project creation, you must see this Eclipse directory. So we have a source directory and gen directory and resource directory and some of the libraries here. Under source directory, we have all the activities there. And our Java is automatically generated Eclipse. And this have all the information related to all the resources, like layout information, string values for image files, durable HLM stand for high resolution, low, and medium. And every information packed into that APK file by APK. That APK file is counterpart for .jar file in Java, I guess. So this shows build process. So once you make your Java file by JavaC, that class has been created, and by Delta Virtual Machine, .dex is created, which is executable format optimized for mobile device. And by AAPK, it'll pack up into everything into that APK file. And by ADB, this will install the physical device or emulate. ADB is Android utility, which lets you communicate with physical device or emulate. So you can access this emulator by this command, adb optimize emulator 5554 shell. 5554 is port number here. And enter, then you got this prompt, which means you are currently under this emulator. So once you access to the emulator, you can check where exactly that APK file is installed. For the key applications, it is installed under system app directory like terminal, email, or browser application, while your applications or third-party applications will be installed under data app directory. So let's see the action now. So let's copy this. Paste. Okay, so now currently I'm under inside of this emulator. Okay, doesn't work in the emulator. So let's see inside. So this is root structures in this emulator. And let's see system cd app. So we can see the key applications, like camera or selecting something. For the third party, we can go inside data app directory, and we can see the third party's applications like mine, including mine. So that's it here. Okay, go back here. So now I'll show you how to work for Android program. So this shows three things. One is main.xml, and string.xml, and the output for the hello world. So main.xml has the information of layout for this screen user interface. So everything here is generated by DeepMind automatically. So by default, we are using linear layout, which displays every widget vertically. So currently, we have only one widget, text view, which is showing that hello world main activity. Okay. And in Android programming, you should put all the string-related variable into a XML file. Here is strings.xml. The reason why they recommend like this is if you want to sell your application to other countries having different languages, then you just translate this XML file and everything is solved. And the
Incidentally, we have a draft document, so some of these things are given in a draft document, so if you want to get a copy of it, just send us an email.
Draft document looks like this. We are currently working on this. It's not finished version, but if you still want this, then just send it to me. It's free. So, this is activity, so main activity for hello world. As you can see, we have onCreate method, which is entrance point, like main activity in C. And it says that we are using main.xml as a layout. This is also created automatically. So let's create hello world in Eclipse now. So go to File, New, and Project. Select Android project, and project name is Hello Dr. Malaiya. And build target as 2.2. And so the corresponding API level is 8. So here should be 8. Application name, Dr. Gosh, is cool. Package name, so package name is like namespace, so type anything. So com.cs150.demo and 00. And the first activity name should be main activity, so main activity. So and then finish it, you can see hello Dr. Malaiya. So here we have source directory. In the source directory, we have main activity. We just saw this. And then inside the resource directory, we have layout information here in the main.xml. And then under values, we have all the string related variables here. Now let's run this. So run an Android application. And currently it's installing into here. It takes some time.
So basically, automatically generate the template thing with some of the things already in there.
I guess so. So it's success. It takes some time. So let's go back to the hello world in that activity. We can change here, like Mr. Wilcox. Please go to and save this and run this. You'll see here Mr. Wilcox is called. And let's go back to the other slide. So while it's been showing this here, so Mr. Wilcox is cool.
So can you comment on what are the main differences between writing applets versus Android applications?
Well,
so what are the key things that you do differently? So I guess you referred to a couple of them already, right?
Yes, sir.
So you're doing this. You have the layout thing you are doing in XML.
That's correct. So you don't need to use XML in applet. I don't know. I mean, it's not good nor bad, but and also outlet. Different point between the two.
Yeah.
Well, basically, Android looks like extended version of Java, because if you see Android does not provide entire 100% of core Java class. For example, here, these are supported in Java main in core libraries, while like Java applet does not support it by applet in Android and WT also. So these are not supported by Android. So there's certainly different points between the two.
So no EWT, no swing, so clearly all the graphics programming is totally different.
That's correct. Again.
However, so if you're doing UI in a different way, certainly there are widgets and things that exist inside XML, right? Can't you just get a button or a
Yes, sir.
image or a pull down?
That's correct. Yeah. So they have the corresponding counterpart to each other. No.
So when I was actually learning, I found that there were a lot of different constructs like activity, tasks, etc. And I was confused, if there is always a straightforward design choice. You have to choose activity for this context, task for this context, etc. Are these choices very straightforward, or if not, do we have to teach the students about the design principles specific for Android, when to choose activity, when to choose tasks, especially if the Android is being taught in a software engineering course?
So the background is that we have done this in CS340. We did this in spring last semester, and I think Dr. David did it in the fall. And so that's why we were thinking of what to present. Of course,
This
we
is
did an
for 100
excellent job.
levels.
No, I understand that. No, we also had similar information as you had basic stuff.
Oh.
But then these things about setting up an activity versus tasks, these are some other.
So given that you have programmed in both OO and in Java and Android, so do you think that when you design a solution?
Oh, you mean design?
Yeah, when you design a solution, when you
Well, here so far there's no concept here. So
I mean, is the migration very smooth? If I'm writing a software, the way I think of distributing different functionalities in classes, you always have different classes. So is that thinking can be directly applied when designing an Android application?
yes.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I guess your question is that you are used to writing things in Java,
Yes.
and you have used applets. So how do you translate your design into Android, since you are used to thinking that way? So I told him to compile some kind of a cheat sheet type of thing. So we don't know yet if it will work, but there's some cheat sheet type of thing. So you look it up and you find the corresponding counterpart in Android. So for example, for some of the things in Java with or in Swing, there's some corresponding stuff. So in the cheat sheet, you can look that up.
One of the, I think that would be very helpful. One of the problems we faced, I mean, if it's just hello world, it's one screen. If it's an applet, you have one frame or whatever you call it, and that gets updated, or you change it to another frame. In the project we did something like IXM math quizzes, things like that. So we presented a quiz question on one page, a simple math question with 4 options. They can select the right answer or the wrong answer and move to the next question. So every time the screen kept changing, and at the end you would have a different screen with the high score, etc. And at least in the beginning, it wasn't very clear whether each one would be new or what would it.
There were multiple design choices. I mean, one could have a separate activity for every different stream, or the same activity with its content changed for every different stream.
Yeah.
So these design choices were not very clear to me when we were designing this.
Yeah, I think we should meet sometime and maybe exchange some ideas. So those are some of the things we have to think about.
That is one of the approaches where you have an activity for each task. So you can separate them. But then there could be a single activity, but that makes the design more difficult. But if you have like multiple activities, probably that might be easier to do.
But yeah, if you have the different activities, let's say for the presentation design, every screen had a question and a number of options. So if you compare two screens, they're not very different except for the question string and the answer strings.
Right.
So it was for that, in that context, it was better to design with the same activity, the content being changed every time you click next or answer something. So these were, yeah.
Well, what, okay? So you're gonna lead them down a path and tell them to do 3 activities, or whatever you want to call them. You're not gonna have them go out and figure out what activities your tasks are and how to then decide between these. I don't think that's more of 314.
Okay, so, okay, so here I'll probably extend hello world to a web browser, simple web browser, by modifying main activity.java and main.xml, and we'll modify Android manifest.xml, which is for configuration for the internet connection. So, in the main.xml, instead of text view, I will change that with graph view, which is showing this content. And then in the main activity.java, I put this 3 line, which is corresponding action for the graph view. So let's go back to the copy this graph view. And
Is there a graphical designer for some of these?
Yeah, you have graphical design too, but we probably do not pitch for graphical design. Like here, you can graphically design a main activity. So you can do this graphically, but it's not quite confusing. So your main activity will change this. So you can erase. Currently, it's showing that there's hello world activity, but erase this, and instead of that, we will put here graph view, and we're gonna put this action in main activity.java right next. Here. Save this and import. Save this. And finally, you should put access, internet connection access for this application, which is Android manifest permission tab. Add this is permission and select internet connection. And save this. And also, you can just copy this line and paste XML here. Same. So save this, and let's run this. And take some time. And while take some time. So next, we will add URL bar and go button. Currently, we don't have URL bar and go button here. By adding edit text for URL bar and button for go button. So copy these 2 lines. Currently, we don't have here URL bar and go button, so we want to add this too. So go back to the Eclipse. The main on top of the web view, paste edit text and button visit, and corresponding listeners should put in the main activity. And we have some other tables which we do import and save this, and let's run this again. And it will show URL bar and go button later. Okay, so let's see some similarities between the two, Apple and Android.
Can you just tell what you did? Did you make a new browser or did you get a new app?
No, exactly the same. I just put this, what I did is, I just modified the main activity by adding this listener for click button listener, and inside the main.xml, which is layout, on top of the web view, it's showing this, on top of this, I put edit text, which is corresponding with this URL bar and a button for this go button.
So it's not that different from Swing.
Yes.
You created a couple widgets and a listener.
Correct.
But the difference is some part you are specifying in XML statically and some part you are doing in the
So let's see some similarities between the applet and Android. The first one just shows the life cycle between applet and Android. Applet starts with init method. If init method is not automatically, if not explicitly called, it will call automatically. So it starts with start method and stop, start, and some time point it just destroyed. And also Android is almost the same. However, you should put this on create explicitly. So we start one, pause, stop, run, stop some point, it destroyed. Okay. And now it just shows some of the comparable graphic related classes between applet and Android. And both of them have the color class, and both have the constant predefined colors. And if you want to make custom colors, you just need to call constructor. While here we have RGB on method. And also we have, for label, we have JLabel. We have text view for that corresponding. And we have J checkbox component, but we have here checkbox widget. And here we have J button and button widget. And much more. It just shows some of them. And it shows corresponding event handlers. In applet, we have mouse event handlers. You see a mouse motion listener. However, in Android, does not have a mouse concept. So, but we have fingertips. So here, on touch listener. And then for our keyword input, we have key listener and here on key listener. And focus listener for frame focusing. And we have on focus change listener. And for the general purpose action listener, we have action performed method here. And we have set on generic motion listeners and much more. And I'll show you some demonstrations into both sides for the comparison purpose. So the first example in applet is showing for the simple drawing. It's very intuitive. This is starting point, right? Main paint method. And here it just put CSB130 10,5 location here. So up the left side. And change color and fill oval and line, and etc. Rectangle, oval, and finally put some text here. It's very intuitive code. And let's run this in, here. So we have Java, we have this one, and we have HTML. Already I compiled that, so applet viewer image.html. Beautiful. Shows here. So this is the first example for applet. And for Android, first you need to, since we have user interface, you should define the layout. For this example, since there's no widget at all, and this is simple drawing, we're gonna use custom layout, and this is template. You just follow this. So inside the main activity, we have on create, and it says we are using the custom view, which is custom layout, and inside this inner class, we have on draw overriding from view, I guess. So in your drawing command, it goes here. So everything is the same, just follow this template and just change here. If you see, pretty hard to see. This just amplifies the on draw method. Let's see this under Eclipse. So Eclipse here. In first demonstration, let's close everything, close all main activity. Notice that I pointed out for using the main.xml. I'm using this custom, and on draw starting from here. And you might notice that the coding is almost same. So there it put cs.gif file 15,5 and change the color and put rectangle and circle and line. It's almost the same. Concept is exactly the same. Even code is almost the same. So let's run this on this here. Run this. Okay, it takes some time, so let's go back our slide. The second example here. Okay, so yes. So this is a bit more fancier this way. So second example is for checkbox event, and this is applet. And this is time point in applet. We are using flow layout, which is the simplest layout for applet Java. And here we declare checkbox and text area and add these two into your frame. And we have corresponding item event handler. And if source is happy, which is checkbox, and happy is selected, then we're going to show this, hello, you are so happy. If not, why not is shown. So let's see this.
So we took this example right from a CS130 textbook, and you will also do it in Android.
Show this out, but if check it says, why not happy? I'm happy, so I click this. So this is second example for applet. So the counterpart example for the Android is this one. So in XML, we are using XML because these are widgets. So we're still using linear layout, which display vertically everything inside here. We have two widgets, checkbox and text. That's view. And this is corresponding main activity class of the heart. So let's see inside. Okay, so inside onCreate method, we are saying that we are using main.xml as a layout. And this 1, 2, 3 line is for change the background color from default color is black, so I want to change black from white, so change color. And we have checkbox and text view and event handler. Almost same concept is exactly the same. So let's run this one. Some time, so let's go back to our slide. And the third example is for mouse event for applet. So basically, if this mouse cursor or caret is clicked, so it's done. So if you click this, then it will say you are so happy, not happy, same. This third example for applet is mouse event. So basically, this mouse caret is going inside this frame. Then these two eyeballs will follow this mouse cursor. Inside this example, it's really hard to see, but here you will get the location information of mouse cursor and put this information to a paint method, and you will draw eye lines, and then it will draw eyeballs based on this mathematical relationship between size of this frame and size of this eye line, and draw eyeballs. Let's see here this one on the console. We have mouse and Java. We have here HTML here, and it's show the output here and follow this at some point. Done. So bug, I guess. I don't know. So this is for applet, and let's see the corresponding Android program. So pretty hard to see. So it just again is amplifies on-draw method here, and this is output. I put some more extra information like location of pointing, fingertip pointing, and then location of eyeballs, and size of the screen. Because unlike iPhone, Androids have many kinds of different size of screen. So you should explicitly get the size of this. So that's the other equals.
So how does it simulate touch?
Touch, simulate.
Or you have to simulate touch by using a mouse?
Yes, mouse. If I click this one is touch. Or I'll show you some magic cooking. So here, from the beginning to here is exactly the same, almost same. The concept is same from first demonstration. And inside on draw method, it'll draw the eye lines and here get the information about display size and display that display size on here. And around about this much, it'll draw eyeball and outlines, and based on this relationship, which is the exact same logic from Applet, it will draw based on this, it'll draw eyelids. And this untouched has the mouse motion event listener, so this will catch the information of fingertip information, location information. So let's run this. So exactly the same. Like in real world, this is your fingertip, like this, like this. So this is third demonstration, and so our intermediate result shows that it is indeed possible to introduce this Android program to 100-level students after they learn Java applet and basic Java applets.
So how do you know? Based on what do you?
Based on they are similar in architectures, and then the concept is almost similar, so they should have no trouble change their programming paradigm from Java applet to Android.
So one question I had was that if I introduce this, let us say a 2-week period, so will we be confusing the students or not? Because we will find out if we will try it, but.
It seems like awfully different syntax. And that matters at the 100 level.
That's true, yeah.
And I think it's a wonderful idea, so I'm not suggesting that we just walk away from it, but it does seem like that might be a big barrier.
So yeah, that's a question we have to think about.
So devil's advocate, very few people program applets, and I mean Java is certainly used as a very active language, but the applet architecture for creating interactive things inside web browsers is, I think it's very rare nowadays.
Yeah, like Flash.
So you would almost maybe be better serving the students if teaching them Java inside an interactive environment, it would be better to teach them inside Android just to start with. And then you get around your syntax issue because we don't confuse them between the Java applet syntax and structures and the Android syntax. You just show them how to do basic things in Android, how to create a listener meant to respond to a button click. It's the same sort of stuff you have to teach in an applet, except in one case they're learning something that is an active, more useful, more relevant, more modern platform, and another is benign.
I don't think we're going to get all the answers to this because we got to try it on some students. But to me, it's not about the applet. The applet is cool because you see graphics, and the Android is cooler because you see graphics and something you can take home and use on other platforms. But that the applet is still Java, and this Android doesn't look like beginning Java should be. But hey, you've got a room full of people who know Java, and I don't. I just see a lot of beginning Java.
And I also believe that we should, like, if you want to teach this course, you need to have another course, pre-course, which is teaching what's mobile first, and
what's the technology first. If you know what's the technology, then you can play with it. But if you throw me right away there, and I know nothing.
Yeah, I think that there are some very interesting parts of mobile technology that perhaps we should go into in some other courses, but of course not here. But there are a lot of cool things that probably in some other courses.
I think 2 weeks might be a short time for introducing all these new concepts. You have XML, the activities, Canvas, layout. How do all these fit together? It's so confusing. 2 weeks probably.
And before teaching programming, usually we teach introduction to computer, and then we go to programming. So teaching something in computer and teaching something else, programming a different, completely different platform or device, I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, one of the things I like about this, though, is that I think in the basic classes, sometimes we tend to focus more just on the language constructs and not have the students think about design. So I think one thing that I do like about this is that it really focuses you on, okay, I'm going to have a button, it's going to be on the screen, and it's going to be here. It makes you actually think about these high-level constructs, and then, well, and then you're going to say, okay, well, if I'm going to do it in an applet, it looks like this, and if I'm going to do it in Droid, it looks like this. But I do resonate with that comment of maybe just do the whole thing in Droid. I was kind of thinking about, if I go into like introduction to Spanish, I'm not going to want like 2 weeks of French. You know, I'm going to want to learn where is the bathroom, and I'm going to get a little bit confused if I start. So I do kind of have that issue in my mind. But the idea of being able to focus on, this is an event handler. It handles events. What is an event? It could be a mouse click. It could be a touch. So it does bring the course up to a higher thinking level. And then, okay, if you're going to implement it one way, it looks like this, and if you're implement it another way, it looks like that. And let's do a Python implementation too, by the way, just just to show how if you want to do something really easily, you know, you can do it in a different language. You know, maybe that's kind of a language comparison course. So it is hard to know what you're going to bring to the table for the first level. But knowing XML, hey, I'm not going to say that's a bad thing to teach these kids right off the bat. You know, okay, so so there's more that they have to learn. There's a few more pieces of the puzzle that they have to fit together. So I'm not going to say that's bad.
How much XML do you really have to know for the first 3 examples?
Probably not much.
No, it's very basic one. Very
And
basic.
you can lead them through, yeah, exactly.
Maybe
It's a pretty basic setup.
XML, can you just not use the graphical interface?
Well, I commended him and he said no.
No, you want to use the graph. Yeah,
So if you would like to get, do send us ideas, feedback, criticism of the idea. If you think it's a really bad idea, maybe we should know about it. But so I hope you have found it interesting. And if there's something we can do to make it more interesting or easier, the easier is, I think, the key question. Can we make it easier? So, and obviously we are thinking of CS150, but if you are thinking of using that in other classes, then yeah, and we have this, we call it the guide. So we have all the codes there. And unfortunately, I have to run, I have to go to Denver, but so I have to run right now, but yeah, we would like to hear from you.
I think it's wonderful that you guys have raised this and are looking at it. I don't know the answer, but it's awesome. So that's great.